Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. We have a significant United States buildup, military buildup in the Middle East. Scripture reference, Mark 13 verses 7 and 8. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Okay, Jesus is telling us when we see this, no sense for drama. These things must happen, but the end is still to come. So what we are watching, if this is where we think we are in time and space, according to Scripture, these things are going to happen, but the end is not yet. So it's going to come to pass. The question is the significance and severity of the events. Nation will rise against nation. Well, we're clearly seeing that. Kingdom against kingdom. Earthquakes in various places, famines. These are the beginning of birth pains. So it's not getting better from here. That's Jesus telling us that. So here we go. This happened in Tel Aviv earlier, a couple days ago. U.S. Embassy branch office in Tel Aviv sustained damage after an Iranian ballistic missile landed nearby. Now, I've seen some say landed nearby. I've seen some say hit the U.S. Embassy. Building suffered minor structural impact from the shock wave. Let's see what this shows us. Actual video. Did knock out a few panes of glass. This is somebody walking around taking video. And if that's the extent of it. Now, I did see something. It was a Ukrainian source. Just made it look like it just slaughtered the place. But that's the only one I saw. Other than that, I've just seen pictures of the U.S. Embassy. Our press has not shown the extent of the damage. And anyway, one of their missiles, the Iranian missiles, got pretty close. So now with that, Mike Huckabee made this post, and the White House reposted it. Again, Huckabee, ambassador to Israel. Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, PA, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters. His voice. I am your appointed servant in this land and am available for you, but I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours. Not since Truman in 1945. I do not reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It's my honor to serve you, Mike Huckabee. Okay. And then so the build begins. Now, I think the Nimitz, USS Nimitz, and its strike group are now moving toward the Middle East, joining the USS Carl Vinson, the UK's HMS Prince of Wales. It's confirmed 3 powerful aircraft carriers within striking distance of Iran's shores. Clear signal they think something's coming. Now, I think this happened before the embassy was hit. Or it was very close. At either rate, open source information shows nearly 20 U.S. Air Force refueling tankers took off from European bases this morning, headed toward the Middle East with fighter jets including F-15s, F-16s, F-22s, and F-35s en route to CENTCOM. I also saw another Oh, another group of fueling tankers took off from the United States this morning. And we are, Wednesday, June 18th. So that was yesterday that this happened. This came out. This came out yesterday. There's a lot going on here. Now Trump is just out and about doing his thing and refuses to, hey, I've got other stuff I'm doing. I'm working on the economy. I'm putting flagpoles up. I want some on the north lawn, the south lawn of the White House. Big flagpole, big flags. Bragging about the economy. I want to pass crypto legislation. I want to sign off on that. And then he sends this. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. And notice the difference. The supreme leader, Khamenei, is hiding, and Trump is out and about in Washington being very visible. Trump says he is an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out or kill him, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. And then he follows that up with unconditional surrender to Khamenei. Which kind of leads us to Exodus 10, verse 1. Then the Lord said to Moses, Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I may show these signs of mine among them. Now, on the surface, I always thought, now, that doesn't seem fair to Pharaoh. It's like, well, he didn't ask to have his heart hardened, or did he? And I think we can look at, a modern-day example in the Ayatollah Khamenei and his government. And they took over in the 70s. Now, he didn't take over. Khomeini took over initially, but he followed up after Khomeini passed. But this guy's had it in for the West and had it in for Israel for decades. So it's not like he needs to have his heart hardened anymore. He's very susceptible. And if God acted on him, it wouldn't change his attitude except for make him more resolute in his beliefs. Now, that's just me watching and paying attention to this and, looking at a verse from the past. And I'm, willing to admit, I may have that all wrong. But you can see, if somebody was in a positive relationship or attitude toward Israel, would God harden their heart? And I don't think so. I mean, if you look historically in the Bible, the people who have their heart hardened or are willing to execute judgment on behalf of God towards his people, these are historically enemies of Israel. So they want to do something to Israel, arguably before God has ever intervened. Now, that said, we are all lumps of clay of the Creator, and he can do whatever he wants. And I know a lot of people have a problem with that, because that means their will's not as important as they think it is relative to God. But, Khamenei didn't need any assistance, or doesn't need any assistance from God as far as having his heart hardened toward the West or toward Israel. But this guy's digging in, and he's just refusing to do anything. And by all means, he thinks he can still win, or at least that's what he's saying publicly. We'll go to the tweet here. Khamenei responds to Trump's message to unconditional surrender. It isn't wise to tell the Iranian nation to surrender. What should the Iranian nation surrender to? We will never surrender in response to the attacks of anyone. This is the logic of the Iranian nation. This is the spirit of the Iranian nation. Okay, he's digging in. He's down in the hole. And then I've also seen today, I guess it would be, where a certain neighborhood in Tehran is being bombed, and many suspect that this is where Khamenei lives and where he is in hiding in his bunker under his house. I don't know. Iran's Khomeini says the U.S. entering in this war is 100% to its own detriment. The damage it will suffer will be far greater than any harm that Iran may encounter. Well, he hasn't been above the surface to see that that place is under nonstop 24/7 bombing. And people are leaving. You know, they are having their exodus. Citizens are having their exodus out of Tehran and going to communities outside of the capital. So, I mean, yes, there are some similarities just watching how all this is going down with Khomeini digging in with what appears to be a harder heart, harder attitude toward the United States, the great Satan, and Israel, the little Satan. So definitely keep a watch on it. We got more aircraft headed toward Diego Garcia Air Base in the Indian Ocean. Aircraft carriers increasing. We got lots of stuff happening. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep watching on it and report accordingly. So appreciate y'all taking the time to follow up. Please feel free to share with others at PaulthePoke.com. Arguably very prophetic times we are watching. Something's got to be left of Iran to go join Russia and friends to want to go invade Israel. So there's part of me that won't be surprised if this comes to an abrupt end and the Ukraine-Russia war comes to an abrupt end. All of them at the same time have a little kumbaya moment, and then these folks rebuild, regather to go get little Israel, according to Ezekiel 38:39. Plausible, makes sense to the ball guy. I could be very wet, just my speculation, watching things happen. And who knows where? We know where it ends up. We don't know what events will take place to get us to that point in time and space and history and prophecy. So we'll keep watching. Appreciate y'all. Take care. Have a good one.